I've seen a lot of great players. I think all have. I think he's the best freshman basketball player I've seen since Carmelo Anthony, this Cooper Flagg.
Pretty damn good.
He was unbelievable yesterday against Arizona. He had 30 points, 6 boards, 7 assists, 3 blocks.
For any Blazer fan who has been advocating that winning games this year is good and you've been cheering for them, I hope you spent a little bit of time watching that Sweet 16 game last night and then walked into your bathroom, looked in the mirror, looked yourself in the eyes and said, I'm an idiot. That's how I hope you responded to that game last night. Anybody who has cheered for wins this year, that mean literally nothing because you're not going to the playoffs and all you've done is won games that don't matter in the grand scheme of things to play yourself out of the best chance of drafting this guy who could change the franchise completely.
I've thought this about him before he played a second in college. When it came, we've known about him for a minute, but when it came out over the summer that he was kind of going at the Olympic guys, giving them some of the business, I'm like, yep. Because there is a basketball trait that you can't back with numbers that real hoopers know. When you got it, you got it. And this dude gets it. I don't know if he'll stay healthy his whole career, what his averages per game will be. But damn it, is he not the ultra competitor, in your face, never back down, never give up on a play dude.
Yep.
And I haven't done it a lot. I've largely played the devil's advocate to your bitter Blazer fan. But last night I'm watching this kid, and I'm just sitting there getting pissed off because I'm like, if you don't get better than 8,
which you can't mathematically, you can't be better than that.
Well, you can pass the Spurs. Spurs are barely ahead.
I think the Spurs are the 8th worst team in the league, if I'm not mistaken.
So you're 9th today.
I believe. Let me check. It's either 7th or 8th.
These two teams had lost, and we were 8th. So I haven't counted. So today,
the bottom chunk is not passable, like Toronto or some of those teams at the bottom.
And the Spurs you can pass.
The Spurs you can. Chicago you can stay ahead of, and Miami you can stay ahead of.
Right. So my point is, I'm watching this game last night. I'm watching Duke beat Arizona. Caleb Love was awesome. Arizona puts a scare into Duke. Duke largely dominates the beginning of the second half. And I'm just watching this kid operate, and I'm like, yeah, him with Donovan and Tamani and Scoot and Shaden and Denny.
Would have been really cool.
Can you imagine him and Denny running the break with Shaden just flying from the wing in and just
pretty badass, man.
How high is that going to end? And I got to that dirt anger. I did. I know they lost last night. I know they were approaching the 7-8 area, whatever it is.
Proud of you.
But I've wanted them to be in the best position. Now, I understand you're not going to out-wizard the Wizards.
It's not a guarantee. I get it. It's not a lock. It's not,
But even finishing 8 is like, oh, God, man, you need a lot of things to just somehow randomly break your way. Yeah. A year after, by the way, everything broke the 10th overall worst team's way, the Hawks.
Yes.
You need all of that to happen again, but for you. And if it happens, there needs to be a party in downtown Portland because, my God, how do you watch that guy and not go, yep, please, line 1, please, make that happen.
So the worst record they could finish with, mathematically speaking, is the 8th worst record in the NBA.
But they have too many other games to close the year against, there's a Jazz on there.
There's some bad games
in there. There's some bad teams that they're not going to lose to.
Which is why you should play a G League roster the rest of the season. And I've been arguing this for 2 weeks, and I don't know why anybody disagrees with this. There's nothing left to Can anybody out there... I don't want to turn this into a Blazer something because we might want to talk about them, but this is more of a Cooper Flagg thing.
I'd be honest. I'm being fully transparent.
Combo this segment.
I didn't watch after the first quarter because I knew they were going to lose that game.
Tournament was on. I have to watch on an antenna. I can't watch it on an iPad, so you're not getting my TV. It's not happening on the night of the Sweet 16 when at least the late games are relatively interesting. Can anybody name me a single thing, opponent, performance, stat line, anything that happened in the final 10 games of last year's regular season? Other than a generality. No, give me a generality. Give me a specific, hey, I remember that game they played and they did this.
Well, I can't give you that. No.
You can't. You can't because it doesn't matter. Because it literally doesn't matter. You know what matters? Cooper Flagg.
God, he's good.
You know what matters? Long-term success as a franchise. And you know how you get that? With star players. Mm-hmm. I was watching that Cooper Flagg performance last night. It's hard. Sometimes I think in sports media we get very reactionary that's the greatest I've ever... But your take about being the best freshman since Melo, I don't even know if I can push back against it.
You could say Zion, but this kid, I think, is just a more complete
Zion was
player.
he was just such a freak athlete, better than everybody else. He was big, and he was fun to. You can say he was more enjoyable to watch than Cooper Flagg, or more entertaining to watch. But I think what has always been sexy about Cooper Flagg is the fact that, and I remember doing a hit with Golliver last year, about a year ago, as the playoffs were getting underway. And this is when we thought the Blazers were going to be in the Cooper Flagg sweepstakes.
It was around the hoops. It was actually
around the Hoop Summit
ago to the day.
About a year ago,
coming up,
and the playoffs are getting underway. We're doing a playoff preview, and I said, I remember asking him, "Are the Blazers going to be too good to get Cooper Flagg?" And he said, "No, they're not going to be. Their Blazers are going to suck." And I'm like, "There's a lot of veterans left on the team. Are we going to trade in these veterans?" So I've been yelling this stuff for a year. And him starting to hammer home how good Cooper Flagg was in those kind of situations. Then you had the Olympics over the summer. What sets him apart from other players is how elite of a all-around game he has. It's not this guy is an unbelievable three-point shooter, but he doesn't do much on the other end of the floor. Or this guy, he's a good scorer of the basketball, but he's not a good rebounder, and he doesn't set his teammates up. He has a holistic game at a young age that you just don't see very often.
Yeah.
To be that good on both sides, to block shots, to set up teammates, to have pull-up threes, to be able to attack the rim. He's 6'9", he's 220. These guys don't come around very often.
No.
And it's why all season long, anybody with a rational brain has been saying, why did we keep veterans and win too many games? When, it's not a guarantee that you're going to get them. No, you probably wouldn't be as bad as Charlotte, Washington, or Utah. But the final 8 games of the regular season, the difference between where you're at right now, the Spurs don't have the tiebreaker against you, so you have the same record as them. If the draft was today, they would have the 8th best odds. You would have the 9th best odds. The difference between those two spots is 1.5%, and I'm doing whatever I can in the final 8 games of the regular season to get that 1.5%. Is it going to happen? Probably not, but I would rather take that 1.5% chance and lose every single game remaining on my schedule.